Welcome to the HabitStack Podcast, where we talk to fellow founders who are in the thick of things as they execute their plans to grow their business. Because stories about past successes are interesting, but hearing from people who are in the middle of the battle right now, that's invaluable. I'm Scott Ward, founder of HabitStack. I'm here today with Brad Solomon, who is the co-founder of SC Digital. Brad, it's good to be here with you. Thanks for joining the show.
Really glad to be here.
So I want to hear about SC Digital and what you're up to in this world, etc. But
Sure.
first of all, let me ask you, it's always interesting to know, what are you reading? What are you listening to?
Yeah.
What kind of things are knocking around in your head these days?
Yeah. So, um, well, first of all, really glad to be on the podcast. It's been a interesting few months for me. I don't know if I told you, but I was recently in a pretty bad accident, and
Oh,
so
really?
and it's really taught a lot. It's really taught me a lot about myself and my own business and the people that I'm surrounding myself with, and it's helped me really see what's important, and kind of reevaluate what's most important and what I'm willing to spend my time on, and my mental energy. So, kind of a lot of the things that I've been reading and listening to kind of revolve around that concept. I'm not really one of these people who, is trying to read 30, 40, 50 different books every year. I've actually seen some research about how that's not necessarily the most productive thing in the world. Like Tim Ferriss has done some research on that. So I tend to reread the things that have made a significant impact on my life. So, right now I'm reading again for probably the fifth time, the 80/20 rule. Um, which is it's called 80/20 Sales and Marketing, which is a Perry Marshall classic, and it really just kind of gets into, what we all know about, right? The 80/20 Pareto principle, but specifically related to how it applies to sales and marketing and Google ads and digital marketing, which is where we spend a lot of our time. And then another one of my favorites is actually a book. I listen to a lot of Audible stuff. I do a lot of, you know, books on tape, as it you know
Yeah,
as it used to be called, because I'm not a big sit and read a book kind of a person. I always am on the move.
right.
And so I'm always listening to things in my car. Anyways, another one that I'm doing again is called Cashvertising. It's just one of the best books I've ever read as far as digital advertise just for as far as advertising is concerned. And I'd recommend it to anybody that wants something good. And then the third thing that I'm actually listening to a lot more now, um, and I think he used to be a little bit more controversial than he is, but Howard Stern. And the reason why I listen to so much Howard Stern is that I love his interview style. I
Mm,
would I don't think there's ever been, I mean, maybe with the exception of yourself, Scott, but like I don't know that there's ever been a better interviewer
uh,
than Howard Stern, and I just love the way that he gets people to say things that nobody else could get him to say.
right.
Um, I heard his interview with John Bon Jovi a bunch of years ago, probably 10 years ago, and I just kind of been hooked on listening to Howard Stern, specifically his interviews. It's really helped me a lot in my business and in my ability to kind of carry on a conversation with people. Just
That's cool,
knowing
man.
what,
And all
yeah,
three of those, well, the 80/20 is familiar concept, although not that particular book. But then the other two, yeah, it's kind of like off the beaten path stuff that you're imbibing. So, um, there's basically the entire podcast worth of questions that you've just triggered in my mind there. But one is, so
doesn't
tell
have to
me,
be only one. We can do more than one. I'll
yeah.
come back.
So, so tell me one thing concrete that I can take away, and the listeners can take away today, that Howard Stern does that is so powerful in an interview, that you've been able to apply even to the sounds like conversations, and not necessarily formal interview situations. So what's one thing?
Um, I think one thing that he does is he prepares. And he obviously has a whole team of people helping him prepare, right? But he goes in with questions. When he's interviewing somebody, he kind of knows the kinds of questions that he already wants to ask and what his audience is actually going to be is going to be interested in. One of the techniques that I hear him employ quite a bit of is he compliments somebody first, or he tells a story about some experience that he's either had or a story that he knows the person he's interviewing has had, And then that's one of the ways that he kind of breaks the ice and gets them to open up a little bit more about whatever it is that he kind of wants to talk about.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's preparation, having things prepared,
Mhm.
and obviously, having a lot of comic relief and having a gift for just being funny and entertaining.
Right.
Something that obviously he's developed over many, many years of just dominating the airwaves too.
It reminds me a little bit. Yeah, I think some of that is certainly developed, and some of it is natural. It reminds me a little bit of I did a very very tiny amount of stand up
Oh yeah,
comedy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I thought it was going to be easy. I thought because in a group you can kind of slip
mhm,
in something funny, make everybody laugh.
sure.
And I thought I was just going to tell my stories, and the teacher was like, "No, you cannot do that. Like it's like set up punchline. Like walk before you run. You're not a storyteller. That's very advanced. Anyway, so
That's funny.
one thing that I do,
Well, it doesn't. Maybe it sounds like it wasn't that funny, but I mean, I bet it must have been. It must have been funny for someone.
yeah, maybe she didn't seem very amused, but the thing that I remember is like, okay, I'm going to do my set up punchline things and try to make
Yeah,
up a bunch of jokes,
yeah.
and I just remember her saying, Scott, it's okay. What you've come up with is okay. Well, if you could just work on making them a little more funny,
Yeah.
that would be good. It's like, well, thanks. So
Well, it's interesting too because when you're in a group of people and you're saying things that are that have everybody rolling just in stitches with laughter, right? You wonder how much of that laughter is coming as a result of them already having a predisposition to you and already knowing you and
right,
liking you and being willing and wanting to laugh at what you say, right?
right,
So
right,
almost you are serving their confirmation bias that you are funny, as opposed to a crowd of people, some of whom don't want to even be there. You're not the headliner. They're not just going to laugh at something because they want to make you feel good the way that some of those people that you're around are. I mean,
look,
I'm usually the guy when I go to a stand-up comedy event, I am the one that laughs and I try to laugh like even if the person sucks, right? Even if they're bad, I try to laugh because number one, I'm uncomfortable with silence.
right,
Just by nature, I am uncomfortable with silence. I'm uncomfortable when the person up there is uncomfortable. I don't want them to feel bad. So I'll be the one laughing. And
right,
sometimes, sometimes I'm the annoying one. But I would rather be the annoying one than have all of the energy go toward, everybody's energy going toward thinking about, oh man, how bad is this guy up? Get him
yeah.
off the stage.
You're the guy. Everybody listening who's in stand up right now is like, I want Brad at my shows.
I'll cover up the grenade. Yeah. If it's
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really bad, I'll jump on it.
Yeah, I mean, got so much respect for stand-up comedians because like you said, it really is it's a whole different ball game because it's just people are there and they're like, make me
Mhm.
laugh, go,
Go.
go,
Right.
make me laugh. And there's no, yeah, it's just very it's very intense.
I think
And
it's cool that you tried it. And that you gave it, you kind of gave it some effort. It's interesting. I have been, I don't know, I think that it's kind of a muscle that we exercise. We can choose to do things that make us uncomfortable. We can choose to do things that scare us. And doing those things on like a small scale helps us do them helps us do them on a larger scale. So like for instance, I've been a musician my whole life. I've played piano since I could basically, like, I don't know. I was basically, I was playing piano when I was 2, 3 years old. My mother was into piano and I always played. So, but, but, um, but like singing in front of people has always been difficult for me. So for whatever reason, I got it in my mind that I wanted to be more comfortable singing in front of people that I don't know, and not just because I'm with 5 or 6 other people that I do know who are going to support me. Like I was like, I want to go in and I want to be able to sing in front of a crowd of people that do not know me at all. So I started doing karaoke and just going to random karaoke places that don't like where I don't know anybody or anything like that. Or maybe somebody does know me and that's when it really gets scary. And the first couple times I got up there and yeah, it was scary as hell. But boy, oh boy, after the first one or two, like it's not that big of a deal anymore. And you realize that you probably suck less than a lot of the other people. Like, so you actually,
even if you don't, whatever. It's not the end of the world. I think that's a good. That's a good takeaway for all of us. We can get into these, especially, as you get better at what you do,
Yeah.
and so you're used to basically being good, and
Right.
you're not like
Right.
swinging out. Like when you're young, you're not very good at anything,
Exactly.
and so you're constantly kind of like pushing yourself. And my kids are, constantly doing things that they're not good at yet. But
Right.
you're right. As you get older, if you're not careful, you can kind of get comfortable in that space, and it
Yep.
does kind of circle back and impact the thing that you're good at, because there's always, even in the area that you're strong in, there's lots of areas to push and to expand. Yeah, cool. So
Absolutely.
let me tell you. I mean, let me ask you, Brad. So there's this big thing that's happened to you, and you're learning from it. So this accident, tell us like quickly what the accident was, and
Oh
then
yeah.
how that's unfolded in your life. What are you learning about
Yeah.
in your for yourself, and then also how it's impacting your leadership of SC Digital.
So, um, what happened was I got one of those scooters, like a scooter you stand on. It's a stand-up scooter,
Yeah.
and it's an electric scooter.
Oh yeah.
The thing goes 35 miles an hour. The thing is sick. I mean, it's
Yeah.
awesome, right?
Those things fly.
It's like $1,300 at Best Buy, and it's like gyroscopic technology. I got the nicest one they had because the thing goes fast and it goes over like all terrain, whatever. And so, anyways, I'm just I was out at a bar one night just by myself, drinking a Sun Cruiser, nursing a Sun Cruiser for like 2 hours, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't drinking heavily, is what I'm saying. I was watching
Right.
a football game. It was a Saturday night college football game, and I walk out and I get on my scooter, and that's the last thing I remember. The next thing I remember is waking up 9 days later at
No.
Mass General. Yeah, 9 days later at Mass General on in the ICU, and looking around and seeing a bunch of people. Like, first of all, my vision's blurry, and
Yeah.
like I can hardly see anything, and but I'm seeing people and like family members, and I'm going, what are you guys all doing here? Like, where am I anyway?
Wow.
And they're like, oh yeah, you flipped your scooter over and you're now at Mass General. Come to
It's
find out, I fell off the thing. I must have hit something, actually, hit my head, and then ended up in the ICU. I had a traumatic brain injury.
finally.
Um and could have died easily. Could have died. And I ended up when I was in this coma, I ended up getting pneumonia, so I could have died then. I
No.
was laying in the street unconscious for I'm not quite sure how long before a police officer found me, Officer Roderick in Dover, New Hampshire, scooped me up, brought me to Wentworth Douglas Hospital. They airlifted me from Wentworth Douglas to Mass General. And, there I laid for 9 days, and my family was like wondering whether or not I was even going to live, much less be able to talk or
Yeah.
move, or
Yeah.
how bad is this brain injury going to be, right? Um, Luckily I lived through it, walked out of the hospital, was and I lost my sense of smell, you know. So that's gone.
How
But
long were you in there after you woke up?
I was in there for about another 10, 11 days. I had to stay in the hospital, and of course, the moment I woke up, I was like, all right, get me out of here. I'm good.
Yeah.
I can go. I was like, I'll call an Uber and I'll go home. And they were like, no, you're not going
Well, where's my
anywhere.
scooter? Where's my scooter?
Where's my scooter? Exactly. Um, I just, but it was, it was weird. And I missed my kids' first day of school, not first day of forever, but like, their first day of fourth and fifth grade.
Yeah.
And it was really just, it was strange because, um, I just had no idea what had happened, and I still don't remember anything from the accident.
Right.
And so, what did I learn? Well, when you almost die, you stop worrying about stuff that doesn't matter anymore.
Mhm.
Or stuff, you stop worrying about things that are really inconsequential. When you almost die, you start really taking better care of your own mental health,
Mm.
because you're like, wow, my kids almost were fatherless.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have taken much for my kids to be
Yeah.
fatherless. Um, and so you start to really appreciate those moments a hell of a lot more than you did before. And I've never been the kind of person that takes things for granted necessarily, but to
Mhm.
an extent, I think we all kind of take things for granted. We just assume that we're going to wake up tomorrow. We just assume that we're going to get home from work We assume that we're going to hug our kids again. We assume that we're going to have again whatever we've had before, and it just doesn't work out that way a lot of times. And um, so it has changed every fabric of my being, um, and really kind of brought me a lot closer to like my relationship with the universe and the fact that I really feel like I owe the universe a debt of gratitude because I got super freaking lucky after that. I mean, I got super lucky on many accounts. So, I mean, I think, kind of how it's changed me is that not sweating the small stuff thing, man. Um, you know, because like now when people say, "Hey, how's your day going? How's your day going so far?" I'm like, I'm not dead, and I'm no longer on
Right.
a
Amazing.
I'm no longer on a in a hospital bed with tubes hooked up to my brain. Um, I'm not questioning whether or not I'm going to ever see my children again, right? And so yeah, it's going great. Like I don't know what could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So Brad,
it's been
sometimes I
big.
think about this. It's an amazing story, and hopefully it's something that kind of like is this wellspring of gratitude and perspective
Yeah,
for the rest of your life.
yeah,
Hopefully, this is what I think of some of these experiences for myself. I never had anything exactly like what you're describing, but we can also forget. They can wear off. We can kind of like slide
yeah.
back, and so how do you kind of keep that perspective over time?
I think number one, it's hard. It's really hard to not forget. It's really hard to make sure that you maintain that perspective. It requires a lot of effort. That's what I've found because I find myself almost slipping back into just being the way that I have always been. And some parts of how I've always been, I do want to maintain
Sure.
for sure. But I never want to forget what it feels like to to like feel extremely lucky to even be able to breathe.
Mm.
So I think that it does require effort. And for me, it's make commitments that honor the way that you feel now.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when I came out of this coma and I sort of realized what had happened, I've always been a very charitable person. I've always been really into helping others. But I started to say, okay, I want to be involved in charities and organizations that support people with traumatic brain injuries because I got extremely lucky by coming out the other side of this thing. And my children got extremely lucky that I did. And my family did. But I know that there's a lot of people that didn't. So, or that don't. So, what can I do to kind of honor this thing that happened to me, yes, but also use some of that energy to help benefit other people. And so that might be, in my case, it's I want to be involved with charities that work with people with traumatic brain injuries, but also like, I'm leaning into doing more with Make-A-Wish Foundation now. I'm leaning into doing more things with my kids that show them that not everybody is as fortunate as they are and how as fortunate as they have been coming out of this accident the way that they have, right? So really kind of leaning into that so that the even if the mental thing like wears off, it's okay. I'm still doing the good stuff.
Yeah, I like that. You make commitments
Learning the
with
good lessons.
you have like strike where the iron is hot. You have the
Yeah.
clarity, you have the
Yeah.
perspective, make commitments that they're there now. It's harder to
100%.
not do it because you've made the commitments. And so that's a really good, that's a cool strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, one
Yeah.
thing I've been thinking about for myself these days is, man, I just, in all areas, I'm very lucky like you are. And, but I do have this capacity, if I'm not careful, I have a real knack for discontent, for a lack of gratitude. And so I've been kind of wrestling with that and thinking about maybe because there are these, it's ancient wisdom, but also even research, like gratitude is pretty huge, actually. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
and so just like simple
Yeah.
things like, a gratitude journal or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I don't do a really good job of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's on my mind. It's been on my mind. Like, I need to take the edge off of this. There's this the divine discontent is not the end of the world, right? This is like part of why people build things and they're kind of they always want to improve but then but then balancing that with like a baseline level of thankfulness it's a
Yeah.
little tricky for me at least.
It's great that we're talking about this because, gratitude is another one of those key themes that has come out of this for me too. And it's something I've also been thinking a lot about. And it's gratitude in a sense. It's it's like gratitude in a way that, appreciating things that you just figure are always there. So for me, it's been gratitude. Like we think about police officers, right? And I mean, there's obviously like been a bit, there's been a big support, the police support. I think that's wonderful. But like in my case, for me, in this case, I easily could have died by getting run over by a car because I was laying in the middle of the road at 11:30 at night. And so now when I see a police officer, it's not just, hey, thank them for, stopping people from going too fast or in school zones and keeping the streets clean and so on. It's like, hey, because Officer Roderick was doing her job that night
Mm.
and just doing her job, and she said that. I went and met her, and she's like, I was just doing my job. I was like, yeah, because you were doing your job. My kids don't have to live without a father.
Right.
That's big. Because the surgeons that night, because the people in the medical profession just show up and do their jobs,
Mm.
people, families stay together. Like that's bigger than just, oh, I feel better. My arm is fixed. I'm not saying that that's trivial, but like these people keep families together.
Mm.
And so, yeah, the theme of the idea, the subject of gratitude and what it actually means to be thankful for things that are there that you sometimes might just take for granted is so important. And so coming out of that accident, I kind of was like, I just can't wait to spend the rest of my life teaching my kids to go hug somebody in the medical profession
Mm.
and thank them for
Cool.
keeping families together, or
Yeah, that's
go
a
hug a police officer for keeping keeping kids with their parents. I mean, it's just wild. So, and I think about it. I think about it in my relationships as well. I think about it in my relationship, um, the relationship that I'm in currently. It's sometimes you get to know a person and it's not until you almost lose them, or you do lose them that and then you get them back, you know, the world brings you together again. The universe gives you an opportunity to be together again. It's not until that happens that you go, oh my God, I have so much gratitude and
Yeah.
appreciate so much about you that I didn't even realize before. And now I look at it and and having it and then living without it for even a month has made me realize just how important it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
get it, man. It's
Yeah.
big.
So often, things are like 95%, you know,
Yeah.
what's got my attention?
Yeah. And
5%, the 5%,
it's so funny, right? And I read something online yesterday and it was like some of the happiest people are the people that do the least. Not
Mm.
because they're not driven, but because they've realized that most of the stuff that they focus their energy on is actually trivial. It doesn't even really matter that much. So the stuff that actually gets their energy, they make sure that it's the really important stuff. And I mean, I not to monopolize the conversation too much about gratitude, right? But I think it's a subject worth beating to death, right?
Yeah.
Um my team, man. Like I this team, I mean, my team as in my family, the people that were there for me that supported me, my girlfriend, like, uh, just supported me in such a huge way. But my team at SC Digital, I
Mm.
was out for 9 days and they thought like they didn't know if I was actually going to wake up. And I mean, I swear, Scott, when I woke up and like, I, I started taking emails again and jumping back into Slack and getting involved. I feel like the, I feel like the company was better after I went to sleep for a week and a half. I
Yeah.
mean, I swear, I'm not lying either. Like, I think that when, Kate, Allison, Angela, Bella, Kate, like everybody that is on my team, and even a couple of people that started with us more recently, Chloe, Katrina, they just started with us back in like May. People jumped in and everybody just did a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
And everybody learned a little bit more. And I mean,
Yeah.
just really, I hate to say stepped up because these people step up every single day. Anyways, they're always stepping up, but I think they leveled up a little bit.
Mm.
I think everybody
So,
leveled up a little bit.
yeah. So, it's, um, sometimes I've talked to people and had a thought experiment together where I was like, well, what if something medical happened and you only had an hour a day? Because everybody feels so stretched and like there's so many things that they're supposed to be getting done. And like, what
Mm,
if you had an hour a day to run your company? Like, what moves that you have to make? And then
mm.
it's kind of like, well, assuming that those are plausible moves, why don't you just make them before you have the medical thing,
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
what's going to be different now? I mean, you're back, and I assume you're going to kind of integrate and be a part of the process again. But what's going to be different?
What's different is I've definitely taken a step back on some of the day-to-day things that I would do before, not because I don't want to do them anymore, but because other people are good at them and they want those opportunities and they deserve those opportunities, right?
What's
So,
an example? What's something, Brad, that you're no longer doing?
so, so one thing, well, it's not that I'm not doing it, I'm just doing it differently. So,
Right.
um, for instance, I used to have individual one-to-one meetings with some members of my team each week and not other members of my team each week. And I always felt like that was good, because I like to meet with my team, obviously. Um, but there were some members that I didn't really meet with as much because, we didn't have as many things to talk about or whatever the case may be. And I always kind of felt like there's so much great information being shared between me and this maybe one other person that I'm meeting with that 10 other people on my team could benefit from, but they're
Right.
not getting an opportunity because they're not in this individual meeting. Olivia, for instance, is an example. She and I would meet every single week, and she just has. You want to talk about gratitude. You want to talk about a good hire, right?
Mhm.
Liv messages me 2 years ago or so on LinkedIn, and I wasn't hiring anybody at the time. I didn't like need anybody at the time. Our volume hadn't gotten so high that I needed to hire somebody. But she messaged me and I was so incredibly impressed by her and incredibly impressed by when we sat down and talked that I was like, I, I, I'm making a position for you and we're going to go and we're going to get enough volume to justify that position. And because I definitely don't want you working for anybody else.
Mhm.
I want you working for us, with us, building this team. And so you want to talk about, I don't know, man, I've just gotten really lucky in my life. I've just
Mhm.
gotten really lucky. And that happens a lot with the people that I've hired.
Right.
That's been one of the biggest things. Anyways, sorry to jump around so much, but so back to Liv, she and I would have these one-to-one meetings and she'd ask these amazing questions that cut to things that I don't talk about very often until I'm pressed on it, right?
Right.
And she'd
Right.
ask these questions. So so what I started to do after this accident is I said, I'm not going to do one-to-one meetings anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to every week, I'm trialing this still because it's all still pretty fresh. Every week, I'm just going to have 1 2 hour long open office, open hours sort of a thing. Anybody that wants to come can come. I encourage everybody to show up for the whole entire thing if you want to. But what this is going to do is encourage more open information sharing because Liv probably has questions that 6 other people on the team have. It's
Right.
just that they don't have them right now, right? So they're not
Or
asking
maybe
them
they
right
do.
now.
Maybe everybody's asking the same question right now.
Maybe they do,
Not everybody's
right?
proposing it. Yeah.
So we're having more open dialogue, more open conversation, more open meetings where anybody can join. And if they're bored, they can just jump off. Like I'm not going to hold them there if they don't need to be there. But if they're learning something and they're getting something out of it, then they're getting it. And then we're doing a lot of AI note taking and so on.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just doing it in a way that's more beneficial and effective for everybody.
Right.
Um, and efficient, right? Efficient because it allows me to get to know more members of my team on a deeper level. And it allows me to share more with more of them because, I have been doing this for a little while. So I do know some things that they don't know, but really only based on experience. Most of them know more than I do at this point, for sure.
Mhm.
And if they don't yet, they will. It's not going to take long.
Yeah. So, um, tell us a little bit about SC Digital. What are you up to? What's your specialty? Oh, and I guess I always like to know. I know that you do a variety of things, and you probably
Yeah.
do a variety of things well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what would you go toe to toe on in the in the Olympics of that thing and worldwide Olympics of that thing, and feel like, yeah, I'm probably going to get gold? What are you
Yeah.
best in the world at?
Yep. Speed, and delivering an exceptional product or an exceptional service quickly, and helping our clients understand that we really deeply care about them.
Mm,
I mean, I've had two people in the last 2 days walk up to me and say, "So and so is awesome. Do you realize how awesome so and so is?" Like
mm,
one of my clients, his name is Rod, and he owns Merrimack Valley Wi-Fi Pros. They go into your house and they fix your Wi-Fi without you changing services, without you going from Xfinity to Verizon or whatever. Um, I used to work directly with Rod. I still do from time to time, but I was his primary point of contact. When I went out with my injury, he has the benefit now of working directly with Bella, who is obviously fresher than I am, right? She's been with us for roughly 2 years now. Um, but she's better.
mm.
She's better. She's preferable. If I were a client, I would definitely want to be working with Bella as opposed to instead of me. And so he walks up to me today, and he says, "Do you realize how awesome she is? I mean, she is amazing. She's helping me do this and this and this." So one of the things that we do, and I had the same thing happen 2 days ago, where one of our other clients, his name is Roger Boucher. He owns a plumbing and heating company, and he says, "Let me say something about Katrina. She is as good as it gets. She is attentive. She answers my questions. She's timely." And I love hearing that. And I hear that about all of my client success managers. And I
So
think
let me ask
that's
you
one of
about
the
that, Brad,
major
because
things.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
And so was there a time, I don't know how many years ago, when you in your heart of hearts thought, I'm not sure that anybody can do this as good as I
Yeah.
can. Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
So
I
so
did.
how did you, well, I don't know. Did you grow out of that before the accident, or was the accident
Oh,
that
no,
like
no. No,
it,
I've known that a lot of people could do things a lot better than me for quite a while. I learned that when I hired my first person, Angela, to handle all things social media in our company. It
mm,
was, for a while I thought, yeah, I'm the only one that could do this and so on. But then I quickly realized not only can other people do it better now, but they're also going to learn things faster than I am. And not only that, but I'm only going to be able to get so big if I think that I have to do everything. No, actually, the best thing to do is to find people that are better and let them run.
mm,
Give them an environment where they can be successful and they can get what they want out of life, and make that environment like so good that they don't want to leave. So pay them right and let them know that they're appreciated. Give them time off, like more time off than they'll get anywhere else, right? Let them work from wherever they want to work from. Like make it good enough where they're not going to want to go anywhere, and then let them run and give
mm.
them opportunities to learn more and get better. Um, and so no, I've always known that. And then so here's so actually here's one thing that happened. I have a business partner named Sean Dempsey who is, I mean, he's genius level smart. Um, he's also built another agency called Loud Canvas. He and I sort of own each other's agencies, partial ownership in each other's agencies, because we do so much business together and we partner on so many clients that we just work together. And I mean, he is as good as it gets as far as like top level, high level strategy goes. And one time, and he'd been running agencies a lot longer than I had. And one time I had a decision to hire my first sort of general manager, like my first actual replacement for me.
Right.
The person that I would hand the reins over to if I did get hit by a bus. She would take the reins and she would run with it. And her name is Kate. And she's been with us since 2020. We hired her the month before COVID,
Mhm.
right? And it's a good damn thing we did. It seemed unfortunate at the time, but it was a really good thing we did because it was right when we needed her the most. She came in and she brought skills that got us through COVID for sure. Anyways, when I wasn't sure whether I should bring her on because I wasn't sure if my company was ready for it, I sat down for breakfast with Sean and he goes, all you got to do is think about any clients that you lost last year because you couldn't handle them yourself or whatever, or like you couldn't bring the value to them because you're only one person. Just think about any clients that you lost last year, add up the revenue that you lost as a result.
Right.
And like if the number that you get is like somewhere close to like what Kate is going to make, then your decision is easy. What's the problem? And I was like, oh my God. Yeah,
Right.
you're right.
Mhm.
You're right about that. And so, yeah, I hired her as soon as I could possibly do that. And kind of the same thing happened with Erica, who took over our business development. I was like, I can't be the only one that sells things in this agency and that brings on new clients. Somebody else needs to be able to do that. I knew Erica from a prior, from two prior jobs actually,
Mhm.
and she's grown the company dramatically
Cool.
since she joined. So
Sounds like you have a knack for finding good people, which goes a long way. Can I ask you
again,
this question?
luck, luck.
So you went through this interesting transition of not only delegating, like you talked about, yeah, not like specific functions, but delegating leadership. So
Yes.
you had to transition to become somebody who manages leaders and not just manages ICPs.
Yeah.
What did you have to learn in order? From your view, what's the difference between managing leaders and managing ICPs?
Um, well, leaders need to feel supported, first of
Sorry,
all, from,
ICs. I was saying ICPs because what it was, I got confused with my acronyms.
oh, no problem.
Anyway, ICs, yeah.
But I think that, first of all, having been somebody who was a leader being managed in the past, I think back to what my manager did a really good job of was we would have a lot of conversations where, he would ask me questions about what was happening with the team and like help me diagnose performance issues with the team. And one thing that I learned throughout those conversations was that most of the problems with the team were actually caused by me, the
Mhm.
leader. So like, hey, I noticed that your team, Brad, they're really not doing a lot. They're really kind of like, taking a lot of liberties with time off, and they kind of come in a little bit late often, and your performance is suffering. And why is that? And when I was really young, I'd be like, well, because this person this, and because this person this, because this person this. And my manager at the time said, or he was the owner of the company at the time, he said, stop right there. Stop making it everybody else's fault. Once you personalize it and once you take your own responsibility for it and realize that all these things are happening because you're allowing them to happen and you're enabling them to happen, and once you own that, it becomes a really easy problem to solve because you're the one that is causing it, so you can fix it. So so um that piece of training that I got has helped me develop other leaders too, because it's like, hey, I'm empowering you to make these decisions, and I'm going to support you in these decisions. Even if I don't necessarily agree with them, I'm definitely going to support you in front of everybody else. I'm
Mhm.
definitely going to give you the latitude to do what you feel is right in this company. And let's just have an open forum and an open dialogue where you feel comfortable bringing those things to me. And then let's come to an agreement if you need to. But otherwise, if you make a call, I'm going to support you on it. And I think that's been something that, like, it's hard. I think it's hard for some managers or founders to relinquish that level of control. But what I've found is that the second you pull back on that, people get really gun shy about making decisions,
Oh yeah.
and then it becomes a situation where you're getting a lot of no decisions. And we definitely do not want that. If we want the company moving forward, we need to have people that feel empowered to take action. And I've noticed that too. Like, for instance, with Allison, right? She's a leader because, number one, she just knows things that other people don't know because of her experience and her emotional intelligence, which is one of the reasons why I hired her in the first place. But also because she's taken a leadership role. I never gave her one. She took it.
Mhm.
And I think that was something that I learned a long time ago too, is like, you don't have to wait for somebody to bestow upon you your leadership. You can take it. And that's what she's done. And now she's become an authority in the company, along with other people like the Angelas and the Kates who have been with us for a while too. And so I am just big on giving people the tools they need to succeed, giving them an environment where they want to be successful, and then supporting them in their decisions.
Yeah.
And then if I don't agree with something, then we talk about it, but we talk about it afterwards. Yeah.
I like it, man. I think that gift, that lesson that you got early on in your career was bang on. It's one of the things that I reflect on and share with people is just that the best thing about being a leader is that everything is your fault.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. That's not
That's
a
the
bad
best
thing. That's
part.
because if it's not your fault, then you have no volition, you have no agency. Brad, I really enjoyed having a conversation. Thanks for coming on the show and talking to me about what's all going on for you. There's a lot. You're learning a lot, and you shared a lot of things that I think people will take away from it. Good reflection for everybody.
I'm really happy you had me on, Scott, and looking forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, Brad, have a good rest of the day. Founders, if you're struggling to manage goals and execution with your team, HabitStack can help with that. I'm Scott Ward. Thank you for joining me on the HabitStack Podcast.